All right, guys, I'm here in the fur shed, and I thought you might want to take a look at some of the fur we caught this year. So it's pretty much the end of the trapping season now. I had a great season. It was relatively short. I didn't catch a whole pile of fur. I had a lot of fun. That was the best part about the season. That was really my goal coming into it, is just want to go out there, catch some fur, have some fun, and learn as much as I could along the way. And I was happy to take you guys along the way. It was pretty cool having you following along on those Marten videos and the beaver trapping videos and stuff. So that was good. But anyway, I'm getting ready to ship off some fur. It's pretty much the end of the year. All seasons are closed except we do have beaver trapping under the ice that goes all the way through April. So that'll be an opportunity this winter. And I don't know how much of that I'm going to do. I'm going to see kind of how things go this winter and go from there. But right now, it's basically time. All the fur is tagged and everything that's required to be tagged is tagged. And it's time for getting this out of the way. We get kind of, you can't just let fur sit around forever in its raw state, because it's going to go bad. There's going to be issues with bugs getting at it and rotting and all that. So dry fur is good and shelf stable for quite a while, but you got to do something with it at some point. So I'm going to kind of give you an idea of the homes of the different furs that I've got here, and we'll go through them and look at them a little bit and maybe brainstorm, think a little bit about some of the things that I'm going to do. A lot of you guys might be newer to this stuff, and so you maybe are looking for some ideas, or you want to learn a little bit more about different furs. That's great. A lot of you guys are long-time trappers and you got a lot of experience, and you can give me some ideas on how what you do with furs and different different things maybe I haven't thought about. So anyway, that's always good. What do you want to start with? Maybe we'll start with Marten, because I got these guys right behind me here, and it was an awesome season for Marten. They were very active, very hungry in the woods, and it was actually pretty easy to trap Marten this year. I got into some really good Marten habitat, and I picked up these. I get 25 Marten here in 2 weeks, so that was good. Now we got a couple of them here. Now the thing with the Marten is they're a beautiful fur. I mean, it's just incredible. Here in Maine, our Marten are quite small. They're a lot smaller than the northern Canadian and Alaskan Marten. And they also have the tendency to be all kinds of different colors. So you can see here, this is kind of what like your standard colored Marten for this area. It's a sort of a lightish orangish brown with a gray tint to it. And then this is actually the darkest Marten that I've caught in probably 3 years, believe it or not. But this is more of a chocolate color. It's almost a little bit more like a Maine mink would look, and that's not common for here. Now, if this was this color, maybe a little darker, and it was twice the size, you'd be looking at like the Alaska Marten that guys most years are getting like, close to $100 a piece for. This year, they're not getting anywhere near that, unfortunately. But right now, with the market as low as it's gotten recently, I sent some Marten to auction, and they averaged between $7 and $8, which is really an insult. It's sad that that you take all that expense to take care of, and it's such a valuable. I mean, someone's going to use these furs that they bought for $7 or $8, and they're going to make something pretty awesome out of it. But there just aren't enough buyers in the market, and so the fur harvester really is on the wrong end of the deal there. So my plan for these, typically we'll want to get like $30 for these, or $40. Some years we'll get even more than that for these Maine Marten, but my plan for these guys is every one of these is going to get tanned, and I'm going to get them right back here. These are all going to Moyle Mink and Tannery, and I'm going to get them back here, and then I'm going to decide what to do with them. If you guys want a wall hanger, you want a nice Marten pelt to hang on your wall, and if you don't have Marten in your area and you want one for your collection, I'll probably be selling them on Trapping Today store. That's trappingtodaystore.com. You can also get these pretty sweet Mustela t-shirts there too. $25 free shipping. And other than that though, I really haven't decided what I'm going to do with these Marten. Now, my friend Josh up in Alaska is a master craftsman. Well, he's actually only been doing this for a few months now, but or I guess a year now, but he's getting pretty awesome at it. He made me a hat out of marten and fisher that I caught here in northern Maine. These are some of last year's marten, and you can see this front part of the hat is sort of the backside of marten pelt. Looks like he had to sew two of them together to get this. And then a little bit of style, I guess. The tail hanging out the back is pretty cool. Gets in the way sometimes. I think I might have to pin it right back there. And then I'll show you some fishers in a minute here, but those are that's a fisher, part of a fisher pelt there. And then you got leather on the outside, on the back, and then the inside is kind of a fleece material. This is the warmest hat that I own. It's amazing how warm it is, and I think if you really had issues with getting cold and you wanted to, you could add more fur to the outside of this and make it even warmer. Beauty of fur, it's not only beautiful and durable, it is incredibly warm. It's the warmest thing you can find out there. So that's an option for marten. Mitts, I don't think they're highly recommended to make mitts out of, because the marten is a little less durable than something like beaver or a muskrat or otter, but it might be an option. And then, you know, there's a number of other things. I get some ideas. Maybe even like thinking about making like some specialty marten can koozies to keep your drinks cold, and do that with some marten pelts. I haven't decided yet, but the beauty is I'm gonna get all these out there, and when you send them to Moyles, if you send more than 20, you get a really sweet deal. It's almost half the cost to tan them, and so I'm gonna get these done at a pretty reasonable cost, and I'll be able to play with them. Now, I got two here that are damaged. These were eaten by fishers, or a fisher. A fisher ate these guys. And I get another one that was damaged, but I was able to sew that up pretty nicely. But these are just in really rough shape, and I don't know if anything can be made out of them, but I tagged them. I felt like it was my obligation. I harvested the animal, I killed the animal, and you know, I considered it part of my legal harvest. And so I kept them, and what my idea with these is to do is I want to practice tanning this winter. I've never tanned fur on my own. Looking at some people tutorials and videos and stuff, it looks like it can be pretty simple. Also looks like it's a heck of a lot of work, and so I want to practice on some furs I'm not worried about destroying. So we'll do those with those marten. Now we got fisher, and this year I didn't get as many fisher. I actually trapped in an area that was really good marten habitat, and it didn't have as many fisher in it. Lots of mature forest. You don't find that much in northern Maine anymore. But really, you know, big, thick big trees, mature wood, lots of habitat in the understory, clear understory of the forest with lots of down woody debris. It's just really good marten habitat. High elevation, gets a lot of snow, soft snow. Fisher are more in like the open areas, the farm country, and the cut over forest. So I only caught 2 fisher when I got all these 25 marten on that line. And then I caught another one with my boys here on the farm, just not far from the house. We set a few traps there. So we get these 3 fishers. These are again for what you have here for a pelt, the size of it, and these can be pretty beautiful. I don't think the market is really giving us enough money for these, so I'm going to send these fisher to get tanned as well. And of course, again, you know, you can make a fisher hat. I saw a guy on ice fishing a couple of winters ago, and he had the most beautiful fisher hat. It was all fisher all the way around, and incredibly warm too, stylish. It looked awesome. So that's an option. And these may be wall hangers. In the past, I've sold marten and fisher to people as wall hangers, just guys that listen to the podcast and watch these videos. And they sold pretty quick, so I may just sell these 3 fisher for some of you guys that are interested. Just get in touch with me, let me know. It'll probably be a couple months before I get those back, but that's my plan with the fisher. Now, let's see what else we got. We got a couple of incidentals. A couple of unexpected critters on the marten line. We had a raccoon and a skunk, and these furs are typically prepared for the market, fur side in and leather out. So that's the way I did these. It really doesn't matter for what I'm doing with them. I'm getting them tanned, so it's not going to matter. It's probably better if you're getting them tanned just to leave them fur side in like this. The reason traditionally that I learned how to do it this way, and everybody learns how to do it this way, is because that's what the fur buyers are looking for. So it gives them a better, because the colors and the texture and everything of coon and skunk and mink for that matter, they're very similar. They don't vary a lot. And so the buyers don't really need to look at the fur side as much because they already kind of know what to expect. But the leather side is where they learn a lot about what's going on with that pelt. And so like with these coons, the color of the leather is going to indicate how prime the fur is. And this one is not blue. If it was dark and sort of a dark blackish bluish color, they call that a blue coon. It's an early caught coon. The fur is not really primed up yet. But this one's not at the same time, it's not really white like the really late caught prime pelts are. In northern Maine, we get very few of those coons because usually by the time the fur gets to that stage, the coons are down to sleep. I guess I don't think they technically hibernate, but they go into this estivation period where they're really dormant when it's cold. It warms up in the middle of the winter, they might come back out, but in northern Maine, it doesn't happen that often. So this is probably about as good as our coons are going to get on average. And then the buyers do usually like an inspection window cut maybe a little further up than what I did, so they can get a look at the fur there. Skunks kind of the same way. The other thing is they can tell if you messed up on the hide and you cut a hole in it, or it's got a slice or bite marks or whatever. But yeah, these guys are going to go get tanned as well. I don't know what I'll do with them. I might just keep them around the house. The skunk, I don't think I have a tanned skunk pelt, so I may keep it around. If I need a little money, if need to buy some groceries or something, maybe I'll put them up for sale somewhere. Now, what else we got in here? We get some coyotes. Now, these were caught by a friend of mine. They're not my coyotes, but I'm sending them along to get tanned at Moyles. And these are another thing. I got, there's a lot of opportunity to do things with coyotes. Now, Maine coyotes, you notice this one doesn't have a tail, so that happens occasionally when you're skinning and fleshing and stuff. But Maine coyotes are not the best in the market. The fur gets pretty thick, especially it primes up way earlier than you'd expect. Like around the 15th of October, our coyote pelts start getting pretty good. And by the 1st of November, they're really good. But the fur is pretty coarse. The hair is dark, like dark black you see on the tips, and then kind of grayish, brownish underneath that. And the belly is real orangish. There's not a lot of good clear white on the belly. It's just really, it's not the type of fur that's really in high demand by the market. The western coyotes, like out in Montana and the Dakotas, are a much better pelt for what the market wants. You see how long and coarse the hairs are. That a western coyote will be smooth and silky. But these will work. I mean, these are used in fur coats, and the vast majority of these coyotes are going to be the trim around the hood of a fur parka. And so they just take thin strips, and they'll actually cut these strips across the body like this. And so each of those cross sections is going to be that thickness that's going to be just thick enough to trim that hood. And if they have to, they'll sew 2 or 3 of those, or however many of those together to make that work. And what happens is those Canada Goose parkas that are actually that style, that may be going away after a while. We're not quite sure yet what's going to happen with those. But those use the western coyotes that are really expensive, and those parkas are like $800 a piece. And then you always have those knockoffs that want to be like Canada Goose, but they're like the off-name, non-name brand and whatever. A lot of the Chinese companies are making coats that look just like them, that are a quarter of the price or half the price, and they'll use these. They won't pay as much for the pelt, but they'll still be able to make a nice ruff on a parka. I can make a pretty sweet ruff on for one of my coats here. I may do that. I'm really not sure with these. I think the one without a tail is an obvious target for cutting up and getting made into some sort of project. But the rest of them, we'll see. They might be wall hangers, or they might go to some sort of fur crafting. I'm really not good at crafting, and I don't know a lot of people who are, and I really don't want to get into it, but as a fur harvester, kind of being forced into trying to figure something out with that. What else? I got a couple of foxes here. These are older foxes had them in the freezer from a couple of years ago. But the fox pelts are not really getting a lot in the market right now. But I think there's a lot you can do with fox pelts. They make a pretty sweet hat. I think these would make an awesome hat. So might do that. We'll see. Haven't decided yet. Probably like some sort of a neck warmer or something, or some sort of decorative scarf type item. I'm sure would be pretty cool for some people. It's not really my thing. But yeah, got a couple foxes there. Now let's look at, how about some beavers? So one thing that I am actually pretty proud of being a trapper in Maine is the quality of our beaver pelts. So this is really our top item, our Maine beavers. You look at, okay, where's the best coyote come from? It comes from Montana or North Dakota. Where does the best marten come from? It's Alaska or Alberta or somewhere up northern Canada or Alaska. Fox, Alaska. All the different items you think, figure out where the best ones come from. And you look at Maine, and we don't really have, all of our fur is good. We have really cold climate, and it gets thick and prime, but it's not always the color or the size or whatever that, what the market's looking for. Beaver is. And so our beaver, this is a pretty good example of a northern Maine beaver. And you notice how dark the hair is on this guy. That is, most beavers throughout the United States don't tend to be consistently dark like this. There's places where they're dark, but they're also light. And there's a lot of beaver that are lighter colored. I noticed a lot of the southern beavers seem to be very pale. The western mountains, Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, have a really light colored beaver. I actually have one of them in here somewhere that's quite light. It might be this one there, but even then they're not super light. Yeah, that one. See, that one's lighter than the others, but it's still relatively dark by comparison. So our beaver are nice and dark, and that seems to be what the market is looking for. And the fur is just super thick, and it's got nice long guard hairs. And I mean, this is a nice one. I brushed this one up nicely, and the fur is shiny and clean, so it's really nice. But this is just incredibly thick, full, dark fur that is gonna look really good in whatever it happens to be incorporated into. And most of these beavers, so what I did, I get about 25 beavers in this batch, and I kind of high graded them out. And the ones that are sitting in this pile are gonna go to a fur buyer in North Dakota, and he's gonna make fur mitts out of them. He may make some hats as well. I think probably a combination of mitts and hats. This is an example of some beaver gauntlets that my friend Josh up in Alaska made. And these are made with Alaska beavers. You actually notice they are lighter as well. They got nice long hair, but they are a lighter color. But these things are for, if you're out in super cold climates, this is the way to go. And these are oversized, so I can wear my regular gloves underneath them and slide these over. If I could say one thing about these, if I could have them like an inch longer, 1 or 2 inches longer, they'd be just perfect. for me. But these are, look how pretty those are, and those are unbelievably warm. They're durable. This is nice leather palm, and that fur, that beaver fur, is really durable as well. And look at that, he even sewed me a couple of leather loops, and I can tie a string to him so I can wrap that around my head. That's pretty slick. So that's an example of what you can do with beaver, and beaver make pretty awesome looking hats as well. I've thought about vests or something like that. I think a vest of otter or beaver vest would be incredibly warm. And then a big thing is blankets or pillows. Beaver fur makes really nice blanket or pillow. Blanket's gonna take a lot of pelts and it'll cost you a lot of money. But I took all the beavers that are large or extra large, and those are going over to the fur buyer in North Dakota, and the remainder of them I'm going to do something a little different with them. But he's going to give me a good price. He knows what he's going to get. He's got them for a couple of years now, and so he's happy with them, and we got a little bit of a deal going on there that works pretty well for both of us. I could send them to the auction, but they've been getting pretty low prices at the auction. These would top, these would be near the top end of the auction. They're a little bit earlier. They might not be like the most prime that you can get. Those would be like our February beaver usually, but those are a lot harder to get. And those, some of those might top out at like $50 at the auction, even in a tough market. But these will pretty consistently be like, $20 to $25. Unfortunately, with the auction right now, it's such a gamble. They could go for 15. We don't know. So anyway, but those are the beavers. Just a few examples. For those of you who don't know, for beaver to get the sizes, you basically just take a tape measure and you measure the length from the longest portion of the pelt in inches, and then you measure the width from the shortest portion. They're stretched in an oval pattern, and you just add those two numbers together in inches. And so if you have like 38 and 26 inches, that's gonna be what, a 64 inch beaver, and that would be an extra large. I believe large are 55 to 60 inches, extra large are 60 to 65. Blankets are above 65. And you go down, you got large, mediums, and smalls, and all that. So we got these kind of set apart and high graded, and then I have 6 or 7 beavers in the box, and those are going to go to the tannery. And there's a few different reasons for those going in. I didn't feel like they quite met this collection. I felt like if I sent them in, I was going to get downgraded anyway, and I might as well do something with them on my own rather than get a much lower price. I think I could try to work on some stuff by getting them tanned, and some of them would make pretty awesome wall hangers and stuff like that too. So just a couple of examples. This one that one, I think I just set that aside because I wanted a wall hanger. It's a really nice pelt. That one I may sell in the store as a tanned pelt. Oh, I got an otter in here. This was an otter from a year ago. It was in the freezer, so I took it out. I forgot about it. I took it out, and I'm gonna send that to try to get it tanned. This beaver there's a little bit of a scar right there, if you can see that. And I don't think it's going to be an issue. I really don't, but I thought, another thing is I want to know what they look like when they come back from the tannery. A lot of times fur buyers will tell you, well, it's got a mark there, it's got a snare mark, or a conibear mark, or it's got a cut, and that's going to come apart, and you're going to lose the hair when you get it tanned. Well, I don't get those back to see them, so I don't know how bad it actually looks. So I want to check that out. I could actually throw that one in with the rest, but here's one that was all bit up. I think another beaver or a bird. This was an open water when this beaver was caught, and he was dead, but he was floating near the surface of the water. And something attacked him, and there's a bunch of little holes. It almost looks like claw marks from a bird trying to grab them and pick at them on the belly. So I wasn't going to get much for that. However, look at that. That whole area is good. There's not a single scar down the back of this beaver. And so that's a lot of where your nice long hair. Look at that. Look how beautiful that fur is. And so that's going to be, I mean, there's a lot you can do with that. So I'm going to get this back from the tannery, and I'm going to see if there's something that can't be made out of that. Maybe I'll find someone that wants to work on a project. This one had a really bad cut right in the back. I can't remember if that was there when I caught the beaver or if I did it. I kind of think I probably did it when I was fleshing a little. Oh, I think I did. I think I was fleshing it and it wasn't quite thawed out and I was in a hurry. And you want to make sure that pelt's not still frozen in any spots, because there's just a little chunk of hard frozen area and I cut right through the pelt. And so that's going to open up, and that area is not going to be usable, but this will still be usable. So I'll get this guy tanned. Instead of taking a much lower price for it, I'm gonna send it to the tannery and see what it looks like. Yep, and then this one's got a little bit of a mark there from Conibear. I was kind of curious just to see how that would turn out coming back from the tannery. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else wrong with that beaver. But the other thing is for the tannery, you want to get your quantity discount. And I think I had 5 or 6, and I needed 6 or 7 to get the discount, and drops the price by a few dollars a pelt. And so I had to throw 1 or 2 extra in just to make that cut. But yeah, that's going to be a big box, going to be a big bill at the tannery, but I'm kind of excited. There's going to be a lot of really beautiful fur that I get back that I can work with. I can either try to sell to people that are looking for fur, or try to make some things and kind of sort of try to develop an alternative market, because as fur harvesters, we are in a pretty rough shape right now until the market comes back. And if it comes back, it might be this way for a long time. The market might just be changing to where our best bet might be to have to learn to make things and market things on our own. But remember, fur is a renewable resource. It's very valuable, and a lot of these animals just need to be harvested in order to help manage their populations and keep populations healthy and deal with animal damage problems that landowners have, and human safety concerns. And so it's very important, I think, as a trapper, that we continue to find ways to not to waste this fur. A lot of people looked into certain species like beaver, and by some estimates, you're going to have the same number of beaver harvested whether there's a fur market or not. Because in certain places, there's beaver that are flooding roads, there's beaver that are causing safety problems, they're damaging timberland, they're damaging cropland, and they just can't be in so many places in such high abundance with human civilization. And so they need to be harvested. Are they going to get shot and tossed in the ditch and wasted? I mean, nothing's wasted. They're, the animals in the wild are going to eat them and stuff, but the fur is just going to degrade and go away. Or can we responsibly harvest them in a humane, ethical manner, and then take that fur and create something beautiful out of it that we can wear, we can use, and it's valuable, it has utility. So it's a cool thing to be a part of. It's not what I thought I was going to get into when I started trapping, but when the market changes, we got to change. So hope you guys enjoyed just a little bit of a rundown on the different furs, and we'll catch you in the next video. Hey, I almost forgot. I also have muskrats. So I caught these guys early on in the season, and yeah, they are. It was a low year for muskrats, so I didn't get very many. And here's the deal with muskrats. Small pelt, right? There's not much to them. They're a really pretty, nice pelt. But you know, they're not perfect. I know I was trying to look for some that have, see that one's got a little hole there. I get a few that are a little bit, yeah, see that one is cut up a little bit. There's a few holes. And so, I mean, not super valuable, but you want to send one of these to get tan and it's like 12 bucks. So really a big, you know, that can add up to a lot for the amount of fur that I'm going to get out of them. I decided these are going to stay right here, and I'm going to do that self-tanning project that I talked about with the Marten. I'm going to try to tan muskrats as well, and we'll see how that goes. I'll try to take you along when I get started on that. And I also had 2 little beavers, and so this was actually a really good year in that I caught mostly large and extra large beaver. But there were, actually, I don't know if that was a good thing or if it was just because of the drought. We had a lot of places that were abandoned by beaver all summer long, and then when the rain came in the fall, these beaver kind of filtered in, and most of them seemed to be that large and extra large size. So I don't know if a lot of the young died with the low water all summer, or I don't know what happened, but there were very few. So anyway, like this beaver, it doesn't really make sense to send this and get it tanned and pay $30. Now, if you caught your first beaver and you want to get it tanned, it doesn't matter if it's this size or if it's a jumbo. I mean, that's a memory. You got to keep that, right? So that's worth it. But you know, I'm sending a bunch of other beavers there. So this, I think, is going to be a great opportunity to practice on the self tanning, and I'll do this one as well and practice a little bit and see. From what I hear, tanning there's a lot of labor involved in tanning beavers, because you got to go through and you have to kind of soften the pelt and reflesh it and go through all that after you go through the pickling and the soaking and the tanning and all that stuff, and then you have to actually work the hide and get it soft, and that is very labor intensive doing by hand. But with the smaller beavers, they have a thinner hide, and so apparently it's easier to do. So we'll get them done and do those on kind of a side project and try to learn a little bit more about tanning. So that's that, guys. Be sure to check out Trapping Today's store. I got 2 otters and a coyote pelt listed up there right now. I forgot to mention. You get the shirts, get the books, and all the other stuff. Check that out. We'll catch you next time.